Defiance Marine is the one-stop shop for the Pacific Northwest angler. Defiance Marine carries all the gear you'll need, from auxiliary kicker motors to fishing tackle, bait, and more. Defiance Marine is a Honda Premier dealership and one of the largest on the West Coast. Defiance Marine guarantees the best price on a new motor and the best service on a repower for your current boat. Defiance Marine has certified technicians, some of the best in the industry at evaluating your boat issues and any problems. Defiance Marine has boat financing experts on staff to help you get the best term and rates on your new boat purchase. If you need financing for a new boat, call or stop by and see them today. Defiance Marine is your one and only stop to help you get out on the water.
Cutbacks in funding and fewer law enforcement resources are affecting our businesses and communities. If your business is feeling the effects, Phoenix Protective may be the solution you are looking for. They offer security solutions customized to meet your needs. From remote video monitoring in their 24-hour control center to a proactive, experienced security professional on site, Phoenix Protective has over 20 years experience in ensuring the safety of their customers. Team members are highly trained and proactive, giving them the ability to adjust to the changing needs of their customers. Customers choose to work with Phoenix Protective because they provide the next level in security support to industries such as schools, hospitals, transit, and utilities. For a security assessment to see how Phoenix Protective can help you and your business, visit their website at www.phoenixprotectivecorp.com and select Contact.
If you're looking for the best fishing rods in the world, you really do need to take a look at the Edge rods. I designed and built new machinery, and I think this new machinery has enabled us to build blanks like no other company can build without this equipment. There is no other rods in the world that are as good as these rods. You owe it to yourself to take a good look at them.
We've got a ballistic solution app on my...
Tuna grounds are on the ocean, Tommy. We're going to do that. Don't go anywhere.
We've got all the great fish that make great fish and chips.
Hey, good evening and welcome to Fish on Northwest. Waiting on Tommy Donlin, and yes, here we are back in snowy land.
Yeah, it's nuts. The weather is nuts.
This is crazy. It literally hailed for like an hour.
Yeah, it did.
And then you'd think it was snow on the ground, but it was like...
I might have to stay here tonight.
You may have...
Because the driveway is so covered with sleet and snow right now.
And steep, and you're driving the Stang. And
I'm driving the Stang.
Last time I checked, it's not four-wheel drive.
Yeah, no, it is not.
And you don't tow boats with that particular
right,
vehicle,
you do not.
right? That device. Anyway, how you been, buddy? Good week?
Oh, man, been awesome.
Yeah?
Got to go over to the Gig Harbor Puget Sound Anglers Club meeting last night.
Oh, yeah, a little seminar.
Oh, dude, it was awesome.
Presentation, huh? Good turnout?
Yep, got to see a lot of my good buddies, Dave Johnson.
Oh, yeah.
Kaiser, Dave Bergeron, Steve Ing, Jeff Norwood, all my buddies there.
A lot of big names right there.
Got to hear, you know, Dave Johnson is our like #1 negotiator in North of Falcon, right? And so we got to hear firsthand from him how it went. You know, what were the keys to success? How did they set the seasons?
Yeah.
So that was really interesting.
A lot of moving parts there.
Got to give him a big hug and thank him for, you know, all the time that he spent down there.
Yeah.
And then I got to talk about my favorite subject, which is tuna.
Yes, you did.
Hey, you know what? We even talked kokanee.
What?
We talked kokanee, yeah. We talked a little bit like...
If you're using it for what now?
If you're using it for halibut bait, yeah.
There you go. I figured as much. It is almost opening day of halibut bait season, right?
Yeah,
so
it is.
We'll
yes,
get to
is.
that. But yeah, another good seminar by you and well attended, and nice that folks are making it back out to the PSA events. Good turnout. Lots of people eager to get back at the events, get back on the water. Lots of great fishing to look forward to. And we're going to walk you through a ton of great, really good info tonight. Number of topics to cover, of course, as we do each and every week. And back in the bait lab. But we'll get to all that, right? We'll get to all that. So hopefully you all have had a great week. Boy, this weather is crazy. If it's not raining, it's hailing. If it's not hailing, it's snowing. The temperatures, Tommy, for mid-April, kind of a shock. I told you, I thought I was going to mow the lawn tomorrow. Right. I guess I'll get out the snowblower.
We already moved out all the plants are outside.
Yeah.
From the sunroom, and it was like, oh, was that a good idea?
A little premature.
Had a couple mornings where there's frost on the vehicles.
Yes. Yeah. So it isn't over yet, right? And we'll get into this a bit, but boy, I think it's kind of slowing down this turkey progression. Yeah. Eric Broaden's over there on the east side setting up turkey camp at the cabin, and showed once again snow on the ground this morning as he's there working, getting. So I mean, it's just crazy weather right now, extremely unpredictable. Mm-hmm. I'll be glad. Looking ahead, however, I mean, we got a full-on week of rain. It looks like for the next 6 to 10 days, perhaps.
Yep.
Varying. Levels of that, but man, oh man, it's like it can leave anytime. I'm ready for a little bit. If we can just get that 60 degrees sustained, lakes start warming up, things start popping, animals start crawling around, things get good.
Yep.
We got to get through this, man.
Yep. Carl Freudenstein, he's flaunting his trip to Mexico. He got to swim with the whale shark. Did you see that?
I did not see that. I heard about it. Is there a video?
Carl, is there a video?
Is there a video?
Where's the video? Hook us up.
Claim to fame.
Yep.
And,
I want to see that.
No video didn't happen.
Man,
I swam with a whale shark.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Sure.
But no video, right?
I just didn't have time. So, anyhow. Hey, jumping into it tonight, as I mentioned, we got a lot going on. Welcome to the show. If it's your first time, appreciate you being here. We are coming to you from the studios, Fish Hunt Northwest Studios here on the lovely shores of Summit Lake in Olympia, Washington. I'm glad everyone is joining us. Go ahead and grab our content, push it on out there. Invite all your friends, have them join the party, because we got a lot of great information to share with you this evening and some how-tos and things to get you out there having and finding success. I want to remind everybody, if you haven't done so, go to our webpage, www.fishhuntnw.com. You'll find our online store where we sell all this amazing swag. Get your hands on some of that, because why wouldn't you? And then also, there is a coupon code front and center on that. Edge Rods is on board here at Fish Hunt Northwest, so we like to promote them as much as we can. FHN20 is the coupon code. You can't miss it. It's on the front page. Click on that. Takes you right to the Edge Rod page. Every rod you purchase, 20% off all the time.
20% off. And I want you guys to know there are some rods in the Edge Rods catalog that are not on the main site. So if you see something in there like, I don't know, slow pitch jigging rods.
For example.
My favorite live bait tuna rod.
Yes.
If you see any of that in there that's in the catalog but not available online, just send them an email. Say, hey, here's the code FHN20. I'd like one of these rods. Please hook it up.
Yep. Communicate with them, and it can't be any easier. When you go to checkout portion on that, there's a section down at the bottom on your checkout, putting in all your information, gives you a total at the top. It says enter coupon. You enter the FHN20. You'll have activate or accept coupon. You'll look, your total at the top is going to reduce by 20% right there before you do final checkout. So it's pretty easy to navigate. 20% off all rods all the time via FHN. Go to our webpage, click on the coupon. You're going to save 20% on the best rods, Tommy, that you can get your hands on. So
conveniently, Carl said that no video was taken. I'm beginning to question if this actually happened.
Today's technology,
just not sure.
No cameras available, no cell phones.
Yeah, hard to believe.
Yeah.
Hard to believe, Carl.
Yep. I've never known him to be a lying man.
I know, but you know, who would lie about a whale shark? It takes a special individual.
Who would lie about a whale shark? Yeah. So, all right, getting to it, Tommy. We have a few things going on out there. We got some opportunities coming up.
We do. We got some clam digs.
I heard about that.
I want you to stay calm during your clam digs.
Yeah, you have to remain calm.
Remain calm.
It gets crazy busy out there on the beaches.
It does. It does. April 16th to 21st. Morning digs, and they up the limit to 20.
Back to 20.
Back to 20. Back to 20.
I think I had read or heard that is here to stay.
Yep.
There's so many clams, we get a limit of 20.
Right.
That's pretty fantastic.
That's impressive.
That's really good. Yep. And check the regulations, though. What you'll find is when you read through that list, oftentimes, it's not all beaches open every single day.
No.
They'll drop off Capelas or one of those other beaches here periodically. So you got to really look on any given day within those set dates, which 2 or 3 or 4 beaches might be open on a particular day. So something to think about.
Yep, and then following the 21st, there's another opener, April 29th through May 7th. So
all the way into May.
More opportunity coming.
More opportunity in the spring. These spring digs are fantastic. Daylight hours, as you mentioned, the tides are morning. Typically, they don't go past noon. It starts back up again just after daylight. So if you're digging clams after the noon hour on some of these tides, one, you've missed the party. Two, you're against the rules, right? So you're not supposed to do that.
Look at the tides.
Look at the tides.
Read the rules.
Hey, you know what tomorrow is, buddy?
Yes, I do. You gonna sing a little turkey tune for me?
No. Oh, okay. I do have my little scratch box here as well. Yeah. No, it's tax day. What do you?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. April 15th. Hey, opening day of turkey season. Very curious. So we had Eric on last week.
Yeah.
Talked turkeys with him. The youth opener was fantastic. Of course, they expanded that to a 7-day opportunity, which was phenomenal. And in talking with him a few days into it, he had accounted for over 50 birds by the Utes in society out there,
That's phenomenal.
weighing carnage on the birds. So still kind of grouped up in some areas. Up north, it sounds a little bit like, north-northeast, and things are clumped up a little more. Still cold weather, snow on the ground. Snow continues to fall, but they are breaking out a little bit. Definitely some toms hitting the dirt. And but that being said, good number of birds available and plenty of time. This opener tomorrow, it's going to be cold. It's going to be wet. It's going to be blustery. I have turkey hunted previously in the snow and the sleet and the hail. And
how'd that go?
It's not
so great.
Not the best. Not taking advantage of your best time opportunity. Right. So. There's some options. You can wait till later. It goes all the way to May 31st.
Yeah.
So I plan to hunt second week of May, and then towards the end.
Towards the end of May. Yeah.
With Four Season Fighter Boys, Tim Cohen and the kids.
What do you have there?
Yeah, that's
on your
a little
table?
pellet gun.
Yeah.
Actually,
I mean, when I walked up, I was like, why did Dwayne buy a Cricket? A 22.
Yeah. Well, actually, it's that 410. That Savage 410. It's a 301 410 model shotgun, and let me tell you, put that red dot scope on there. That thing gets it done, man, all day long. Now, here's the key, though. So, I'm following Eric's lead because he's been doing it for so long.
You got to have the right load.
You do. And this TSS, this tungsten load, it's 3-inch shell. This is a 9.5 because you get online, you're trying to find ammo. You're going to find that a lot of your 9.0 is gone, not available, out of stock, which is typical. It's okay. They came out with the 9.5, I believe, this last year, Federal, Winchester. There's a number of brands out there. That being said, that 9.5 will get it done. And the cool thing about this stuff is how tight of pattern it maintains downrange. 40 yards, you're getting about 78 to 80% of your pattern in a 10-inch pipe.
That's phenomenal.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
And that's because that tungsten, it does low expansion. It stays on point. If you're only losing 20% out of your payload there, and you're putting that red dot on their head, or just to the top end, so you're getting all neck and head with a high percentage of shot. Velocity stays good, about 1,300 feet a second.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a heck of a
run. You got it in a lightweight package too. I mean, you could carry that thing around for
That's the
weeks.
beauty of it. When you're crawling through the brush, you're getting into certain areas, and you got a shotgun strapped to your back, and you're getting in the trees and whatnot. No big deal. And shotguns aren't that heavy. But this, you hike around with that all day, it's like...
You may forget you're even carrying it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Your backpack and your lunch weighs more than that thing.
Right.
But, it's also first gun for Harper as we move forward and get her into
that's the other thing I noticed. It was a break action.
Yep. Single shot.
Yeah. And so it's, it's a safe, right? I mean, it's not a semi-auto.
Yeah. I had put it out there that, hey, I picked this up. Hey, what are you guys shooting, for birds? Had a handful of folks chiming in. Guns. What are guns, right? Archery. So, and I've done that. Archery for turkey is fantastic. It's a great opportunity. A lot of people are, 12 gauge, 20 gauge. I got a 20 gauge in there. I got multiple 12 gauges. I need another shotgun. I'm going to get this 410. And because of the results I had last year with Eric Broughton, it was just like, that's a no-brainer, man. I'm getting one of these things. And one guy said, I got one of those for the grandkids. I'm like, yeah.
there you go, Sonny.
Yeah, me too. There you go, Sonny. Yeah. So it's, I'm looking forward to, I'm going to go sight it in this next week and put that all together. But that's the gun I'm shooting my turkeys with this year, and I'm going to have a heck of a lot of fun.
Right on. That's awesome.
Yeah, hopefully everybody gets out. If not tomorrow on the opener, and I know a lot of you guys have already set up camp and got things going on, and you're going to, battle the weather and whatnot, but don't discount that May time if you can get away and don't find success here in the next week or two, man. May can be very, very good as it warms up and then birds get active and start separating out. So, yeah, looking forward to it. It's going to be a good time.
All right. Hey, we got some shrimp dates too.
That is, see more openers, right?
Yeah. Now, I can't say, a lot of people are very happy.
There's a lot of frustration.
About the dates that we have.
100%.
There's a lot of frustration.
Yeah, there is.
So areas 9, 10, 11, it's just one day. It's May 25th, and it's 8 a.m. to noon. So you better, set your clocks right and be ready to drop like on the hour.
The launch scene is
it's going to be nuts.
Out of control,
yeah.
right? It's just this type of regulation and opportunity frustrates me.
Yep.
It's almost like, couldn't they go to some type of retention card, multiple days? It's like we only get 4 halibut.
Right.
We're able to do that, right?
Yep.
You're only allowed 2 sturgeon per season.
Yep.
Right? You have to mark it on your card.
Yep.
So
go to a card system.
With more enforcement supposedly going to be hitting the ground, you know, and you can have your high impact points of participation. And so give persons more than just one day, 1 4-hour window.
Yeah.
Trust me, there's stress involved with that.
Well, and here's what happens, right? Inevitably, right? If May 25th comes and it's a bad weather day, people are going to force it.
Yes.
And, when you talk shrimping and how popular shrimping is, it doesn't matter if you've got a paddle board or, a 12-foot aluminum sled.
Yep.
I mean, it doesn't matter what kind of floating vehicle you have.
Sure.
Everybody goes, right?
Yeah.
And you're just like, well, we'll go. And I don't know if you remember this, but it must have been 4 or 5 years ago now up in Area 8-2.
Yes.
They had 5 guys in a boat. Really windy. They flipped the boat.
Capsized, yep.
We lost one guy, got trapped underneath the boat.
Yeah.
And that's what for shrimp, right? Not even halibut.
Yes.
So having these derby style openers, this is what it leads to. But so that's where we are current state, causing a safety issue for sure. 8-2 has a second day on June 9th.
Okay.
Hood Canal, May 25th, 28th, June 9th, June 23rd, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. A few more days on Hood Canal. If you look into the Area 7 rules, even a few more days, expanded a little bit more.
Sure.
And then Area 6 is another opportunity as well.
And, periodically, if the masses of shrimp are good and the impact that we have on our one day doesn't exceed what they anticipated, they might throw another date out there. It's seldom.
Right.
It can happen. But again, I go back to, you're just setting it up for frustration and, people just, it becomes more of a task, a mission. It's like, just get out, get it done. Don't even enjoy the day.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And people are going to do it. We're going to participate. We love our shrimp, and for good reason. They're amazing. This limited window opportunity versus a multiple day and some type of retention card option, right? I mean, there's got to be a better way to do this.
We need to start considering safety when we set our seasons.
I agree, 100%.
We really do. And then just a friendly reminder, you guys can go on to YouTube, go into the archives, search Fish Hunt Northwest, shrimp bait, shrimp pots, shrimp rigging. We've covered this before, so I put my recipe out there for how to mix shrimp bait.
Yes,
There's a specific way to do it.
Yep.
And then I've covered all the rigging on the pots and stuff. So if you guys want to get geared up and ready to do that, it's all already out there.
I will probably, going into this, a couple weeks from now, if we don't get to another bait lab, to recreate that, or the new and improved, right? The slimmer bait, the slimmer version. Then we'll just rebirth that up to the top and put it out there for people to see. But something tells me Tommy may be in a position to redo at least the rigging in the bait lab.
Oh,
so
for sure,
we'll see
for sure.
There. Okay, and hey, don't dismiss the fact we also have a trout opener.
Yes, we do.
As you like to refer to, opening day of halibut bait season.
Halibut bait gathering.
Yeah, so April 23rd this year, folks. The trout opener is always the 4th Saturday in April. This year falls on April 23rd. Weather looks like it's going to be a little damp. We're about a week and a couple days away from that. That's why we're going to be in the bait lab tonight and next week, breaking it down for you. We'll get to that in a minute. But not only do we have the annual lowland lake opener, and you got to take into account that this is upwards of now 300,000 persons participating.
That's phenomenal. Yeah.
So we've had an uptick due to COVID the last couple of years. We've had a significant uptick in license sales and people re-engaging in the outdoors, getting into fishing or back into fishing, right? So State population is give or take about 7.5 million. They now speculate we have 10 to 11% recruitment on our licenses. Puts it up there around 750,000 anglers in the state of Washington. And the Lowland Lake Trout Opener is synonymous with family history and just what it means to get young kids out fishing, introduce them to fishing for the first time, and all those things. And so it's kind of a rite of passage for many, and there's a lot of history there, right? With a lot of families throughout the Northwest, and that's why it's kind of a big deal. If we went to a full-on all lakes open year-round in the state of Washington, you would lose all that. You know, you just wouldn't have this big like, anticipation, and finally the lowland lakes are open, and we get to go partake. So the 23rd is the opening day. Lots of folks will be after it, 300,000 or so. It's one of the biggest turnouts of any type of outdoor recreational opportunity is that Lowland Lake Opener. Really kicks off fishing season and can be a heck of a lot of fun. In addition to that, here in the Summit Lake community, by the way, mister, we have the annual, bringing it back after COVID now. We're finally back full up and running, everything back to normal as much as it can be. The Fisherman's Breakfast here at the community center here at Summit Lake. Plan to come on down here. They're planting 10,000 trout the week before the opener. We're going to get another 10,000 mid-May before the Kids Trout Derby. We'll get into that here in a couple weeks, let you all know what's going on there. But for the lake opener, 10,000 trout and some oversized trout being put here in Summit Lake. And you can either go fishing, then stop by the community center, participate in the annual breakfast. It's a really good time. The food's amazing. The people are great, and it goes to a good cause. It helps support our community center and pay the bills and keep the lights on there because it's all kind of volunteer and whatnot. So
yeah, looking forward to getting Junior out there.
Yep, it's going to be a good time. We got a lot of good season to look forward to. All right, with that, hey, running down the show before we get too far along here. I haven't had him on for a while. Nice to bring him back. Josiah Darr, been buddies with him for quite some time. JDarr Guided Fishing. Springers, Tommy, fishing continues, albeit it's on the Willamette, more so Multnomah Channel is what you need to know and where to be, and Josiah is going to walk us through that for great success. So stick around for that. He's a wealth of knowledge. Then we're going to jump back into the bait lab. As I just mentioned, the Lowland Lake Trout Opener is the 23rd. We're going to get you ready for that. Part one of a two-part, getting ready for the Lowland Lake Trout Opener. Part one tonight, it's all about the bait. Going to do it all about the bait tonight, and then more information next week. So back in the bait lab. Make sure you stay tuned for that one. Then, first time to the show, as we got through north of Falcon, you mentioned at the start of the show, Tommy, Mark Baltzell, WDFW Statewide Salmon and Steelhead Manager, he wears a big hat in these meetings constantly. He's on all the online meetings that you watch. Mark is sitting there inundated with questions and having to, spew out all the information that goes with this salmon season-setting process. So we got him on tonight to kind of untangle the mess that is and to kind of let us know where we landed.
That'll be a good one.
Some of these seasons we got, so people need to be interested in that. Then we're going to close out the show. Some positive outcomes from our current Washington State Fish and Wildlife Commission, Tommy.
Surprise.
Recreational hunters and fishers. Who saw that coming, right?
I didn't see that
I'm kind of interested to get to a few of those topics because, quite honestly, it completely caught us off guard, and we got some pretty good opportunities coming up. Thanks to the commission, as they are voting in favor of a few of these items that we get to take advantage of. So, all right. Lots going on, lots of information to cover. As always, jump out for a couple-minute break. Do not go anywhere. We'll be back in a couple minutes with Josiah Darr, JDarr's Guided Fishing, right here, Fish on Northwest.
Sportco, an outdoor emporium, is the largest local outfitter in the Northwest since 1975, providing thousands of people affordable outdoor gear. This summer, make your next outdoor adventure more affordable by shopping at our warehouse-style pricing. We are a local Scotty dealer, offering sales, service, and repair. Located in Fife and Seattle, come visit us today. The outdoors await you.
For more than 90 years, you've entrusted one brand to guide you towards living the lifestyle you've always dreamed of. Now you can entrust affiliated Better Homes and Gardens real estate professional to interpret your needs and help you find a home in which to live your dreams. Through every stage of your home buying or selling process, and through every stage of your life, there's Better Homes and Gardens real estate. Expect better.
Sergeant Daniel Moulter began his tour of duty on October 21st, 1996, and ended his tour on June 27th, 2020. On the authority of Constable Carlos B. Lopez of the Travis County Constable's Office, Precinct 5, badge number 504 is officially retired, and Sergeant Dale Moulter is 1042. Godspeed, Sergeant Moulter.
Honoring fallen law officers of 2021. The 2022 End of Watch Ride begins in May from Spokane, Washington. The ride across the country to honor the men and women of law enforcement who paid the ultimate sacrifice in their service to our communities will cover more than 23,000 miles. We ride to ensure that no fallen officer or their family is ever forgotten. EOW relies on sponsors and donations to cover this cost. Please consider donating to help support the families and departments of the fallen officers. You can donate by visiting our website at www.endofwatchride.com/donate. Please support the Blue.
Hi, this is Joe and Megan from Archery World. We have 4 store locations. We are at the Lacey location right now. I just want to highlight some of our camping gear. We have Mystery Ranch packs. We also have trekking poles. We have crispy boots. We have 6 Hour optics. We carry Havalon knives. We carry Garmin products as well. So it's not just archery. We want to try to make this one-stop shopping for you guys. And so if you need it and it puts you in the outdoors, we probably have it. So come down and see us.
Hey, welcome back in studio to New England, Tommy Donlin, and rolling right on through it, man.
Yeah.
We are got a lot to cover tonight. We got to get to work here. So on the phone, waiting patiently. Again, no stranger to studio. He's been here with us before. So nice to be back. Josiah Darr, JDarr's Guided Fishing. How you been, buddy?
Good, man. How are you doing?
Doing great. Just trying to stay dry and stay out of the blustery weather. Been blowing down there a little. You got some snow this evening or anything, or what's going on there?
Yeah, getting snow in April. I don't think I've ever seen the snow in Springer season. Trolling down the channel, looking up at white hills on the sides is kind of odd.
Yeah, no
I feel
kidding.
like you're fishing the east side on the Columbia, right? So,
yeah.
Hey, let's talk about this, man. So Springer fishing continues, albeit, as I mentioned earlier, it's on the Willamette and the Multnomah Channel. Talk a little bit about the differences between main stem Columbia, what we were just down there doing here not too long ago, and now as we shift into that channel, kind of some of the differences in water flow, color, whatever kind of separates that out from just the main stem Columbia.
Well, one of the biggest things on the Columbia is the speed, right? So I'm now going tight on the Columbia. It is cooking. Mm-hmm. So, you're trying to slow down and keep bait on the bottom. And sometimes that's kind of tricky in the Columbia, especially if it's windy and you got you're crabbing. So that's kind of a tough trick. Whereas in the channel, that's really not much of an option. The water's slower. It's usually pretty calm. There's not a whole lot of craziness in the Willamette. So way more recreational, if you will. One of the things that you got to worry about in the channel that you don't have to worry about in the Columbia nearly as much, is just the amount of snags. The channel will eat gear.
Oh.
The Columbia does not do that. You can drag a 6-ounce weight herring down the Columbia for miles on the sandbar and not get caught.
Yeah, good point.
That's interesting.
That's a problem. Yeah, that's definitely a thing. You can usually combat that with longer droppers. One of the things that you really have to do in the channel is just know where you are. Just, if you do it a lot, you need to mark them on your graph or pay attention. At least 4 or 5 times today, I said to my guys, all right, everybody lift up your rods. And I literally just have them pick their rods up and lift them up 5 feet in the air.
Get over this snag. Yeah,
that's good.
I can see it on the graph.
Right.
So you got to be really attentive, or you're going to snag gear all day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it pays to have a pro that knows where all the snags are too, right?
Yeah, a little history.
If you and I went down there,
we'd lose gear all day.
We'd lose gear all day long. Yeah. Josiah, got to ask you. When people talk about fishing the channel, they always bring up watercolor and how dirty it can get. And as Dwayne, Dwayne likes to use big fancy words, so he would say turbidity.
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 There's a turbidity.
But like, is this a thing? Like, words. Do they look at the water and they go, oh, it's like chocolate milk, I'm not fishing it? What do you think? How do you approach it?
So the best way to approach it is fish every day.
Amen.
That's a good idea.
You just know what it looks like from the day before.
Right.
The golden rule, like the kind of the silly one, if I can see my prop, I'm good. That being said, if you look at the turbidity meter in the Willamette, it's up at one of the bridges in Portland. I don't remember what bridge it is, but you can just look up the turbidity. Right now it's rising hard because of all that snow and snow melt from a couple days ago, which could become a problem. But the magic number, if you're just looking at on a number standpoint, you're not there every day, is like 14 is like borderline, 12's better. Anything, 6 is awesome.
Sure.
But you start getting, if it's like 15, 16, 17, you're probably pushing it. I mean, you might catch, you might get lucky, but for a numerical standpoint, now here's a little insider helper. That turbidity meter in Portland is not the same as the channel in the Multnomah, not the same as the water in the Multnomah Channel. It will be in a day or two, but it's not. It's not, real time.
It tells you what's coming.
Yeah, so about a 1 to 2 day lag.
Gotcha. That's a good point. It's a good point. So just because that punches out like tonight doesn't mean you can't fish down lower in the channel where you are for the next couple of days and still find probably pretty good success. So
that being said, when it drops, the channel stays dirty a lot longer too.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So it's kind of I've done that, shown up and kind of spaced off and shown up down there and been like, oh, this is way worse than I thought it would be.
And then you just go for it, right? And knowing you probably find fish, right?
You go for it. Yeah. You put on the biggest, stupidest flashers you have and you shorten your leaders and get them, 2.5, 3 feet behind your herring, 2.5, 3 feet behind your flasher, and you send it.
There you go. Yeah.
I like it. Send it.
Well, let's talk a little bit about rigging. So there's kind of some, normal, pretty much go-to standard setups that a lot of folks are accustomed to on the Columbia. Like you said, we're dragging in the sand. Not a lot to worry about hanging up, snagging up, whatnot. How much does it change in your presentation, dropper length, jumper length, type of flasher, all of that, or colors when you go fish the channel?
Flasher color is not like super critical. I'm not going to change a whole lot there.
Sure.
Salmon are salmon everywhere. And, if you ask 10 different fishermen what their favorite flasher is, you probably get 10 different answers. So that's not like the game changer. The biggest difference is, either fish those short droppers like you were in the Columbia and make sure you don't touch, or use little longer droppers. If I'm only going to use an 8-inch dropper in the Columbia a lot of times and keeping it close with maybe a 6-foot leader, whereas in the channel, I might use a, 18-inch dropper and a 4-foot leader. That's way more common. So I just try and stay a little above it. I also feel like there's a lot of logs and wood and junk like that. I think the fish sit in there too.
Sure.
So you don't want to be off the chart. I don't want to be completely out of the zone, but, I think if you just bump your dropper up a little bit and shorten your leader a little bit, you're really saving yourself a little bit of hassle.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense.
A lot of sense.
So talk about the bait game a little bit with this.
Now we're talking.
Dealing with, this maybe off color, situation that you're going to find yourself in from time to time. Are you doing anything special with the bait in terms of the brine, coloring the bait, any color? Are there certain colors that are better than others? And talk about bait size too. I mean, when you do find that, dirty water situation, are you going to a blue label, like a bigger bait so they can see it and really key in on it? What's the game plan there?
So this is one thing that you forget about the channel, and you guys probably don't have this, but in the channel, we can use 2 rods per person.
Right.
So I almost never don't get to fish 6 rods. I mean, if I got 2 guys, if it's just you, the 3 of us, we're fishing 6 rods for sure. So you got to be on point or you're going to get hung up a lot. But,
sure.
You get to fish 6 rods. So that changes everything. That makes every regular guy just as good as the guide boat if they got 2 buddies. Because you can, part of the reason us the guide boats catch fish because we have 6 rods sticking out because we have people. Well, now my dad and his buddy and his other buddy gets 6 rods every day and they hammer them and it really helps. But as far as the baits go with the water clarity, we fish a lot of chartreuse herring, but I do that same thing in the Columbia, chartreuse herring, sometimes guys die in blue or a little bit of bluing. There's a lot of UV blast style products that you can add to try and get a little extra attention.
Right.
The perk of having the 6 rods is I stagger them. I mean, I have 2 or 3 jars. I'll have just silver herring with some bluing, brined up, or just popsicles right out of the package. And I'll have other ones that are, nuclear green that look like nothing from this planet. And I stagger them all day. If I just for argument's sake, say I've replaced 3 baits, I grab 2 of one and 1 of the other. And I don't pay enough attention to exactly, but I always intentionally don't fish all the same because they're probably going past the same fish. I'm just trying to get something to go.
Yeah.
So there's no point in putting 6 of the same thing out there.
Right.
I just stagger it a little. I definitely like to do, and I do different things with scents because I brine a lot of my herring. So a lot of them will just be like Procure or Northwest Bait scent, the herring, just the regular brines, the powder brines you can buy off the shelf.
Sure.
A lot of them I'll do that and add 5 things too. And just to try and keep it weird. I almost always have 1 jar of bait in my boat that's like super weird. And it's seldom the money, but sometimes it is. Like, it was just garlic, for example. I can't stand using garlic because I just hate the smell of it on everything because it never comes off.
It does get on everything too. That's a good point. It's there, right?
Tell me about it. Dan puts it all over my gear.
I've seen it be the only rod that gets bit.
Sometimes.
Repeatedly. You're like,
right?
Why? I don't want this to work. I got to do this every day.
Italian springers. Yeah. Right. Italian springers. Yeah. When that run comes in strong, you're garlic from bow to stern. Hey,
it's funny.
You had mentioned at the start of this kind of the difference in flow. Main channel, when that tide gets going, that water can get moving pretty good. You said channel, not so much, a little softer approach. Let's talk a little bit about troll speed. And Clayton on here had a good question. What is your optimal or ideal, line angle as it references to troll speed? And does the tide actually influence there in the channel where you're spending most of your time right now?
Oh yeah, it influences a ton. The channel moves quite a bit. It'll turn around and go backwards. At the water levels we have right now, it'll turn around and go backwards on an incoming tide, or at least completely lake. Completely lake out.
Yeah.
The tide's definitely a thing. Once it starts running out, it's maybe cooking. It's 3 miles an hour, maybe. But that's got to be, certain stretches. Not very often. You're going 2.4, 2.5. One of the things you got to do in the channel, and this is probably more than I want to say, but dude, there's a huge advantage to going a little faster than you think.
Oh, is that right?
If it's only going 1.5, you should probably still be going 2.5.
Oh.
There's something to be said. You watch a lot of the good fishermen in there, and they're not as slow as they can go on their kickers like they are in the Columbia, where we're trying to slow down and just keep baits on the bottom.
Oh.
We are pulling them downriver.
Yeah. Cruising. Okay.
Hey,
you'll see more good fishermen going a little too fast than you will see them going a little too slow in the channel.
That sounds like JJ Dial. Yes, it does. Our good buddy JJ.
Yeah, he's a fast troller.
He's got to slow his roll.
Yeah, slow his roll.
Hey, with you talked about some special rules, right? You talked about, hey, you can use 2 rods per person. Maybe talk about some of the other rules that give you guys an advantage. Like, what are you running? Do you get to fish more than 2 hooks? Like, kind of walk us through some of that.
Well, you get to you can run 3 hook rigs. You can run actually 3 hooks. You could actually run 3 treble hooks because that actually counts as 1 hook, but you'd never get 20 yards. But no, you can run 3 hook mooch. You can run 3 hook mooching rigs if you want. I haven't found it to be way better as far as my hookup ratio. I feel like I have rods that had a friend make me specifically for trolling the channel. Yeah. They don't hang pro troll weights. They are soft. They are extremely soft.
Oh.
And I tell my guy, I'm fishing 6s and 8s most, barely 8s, just on the bow rods, with 6s, 5s, 4s. I want them a little further behind my boat. I try and get them behind my boat. I don't get tangled as much as the further back they are. When you get in the waves and how your flasher sometimes will pass your boat if it slows down. So I want them behind my boat. What people don't think about is how shallow the channel is. I can see my flasher sometimes. So you don't necessarily want it under your boat. It's 10 feet deep, 11 feet deep. I'd rather it be a little ways back there. So I do that. One other thing I really like to do is get my bow rods as far away from my boat as possible, because I think a lot of times when you run those fish over, even though you're trolling, they might just slide out of the way. I've seen steelhead 100 times with my drift boat and doing yak-a-tat, stuff like that, where you can see steelhead all day.
Yeah.
You'll notice they don't really bolt when the boat goes over.
They slide over, yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah. My bow rods catch 75%.
You running that 12.5-foot rod up front?
I run 10.5.
Okay.
I have done 12.5 a lot.
Yeah.
It's just really hard for people that don't fish.
Oh, that's a very good point. Yeah,
not
absolutely.
to mention, as soon as they lift the rod tip up, the fish is at the boat instantly on 12.5 foot rod.
Hey, you guys got a 2-fish limit there, don't you?
And that's the last thing I was going to get to. That's the perk. It's definitely got the most liberal rules as far as, rules down here where things are getting shut down or whatever. And with the Willamette springers, everyone's kind of like, meh, good luck, guys. Go get them, Well,
that's awesome.
I'd say they're about 80% hatchery.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fantastic.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. It's a cool fishery. I mean, it's cheesy. I mean, there's not a whole lot to it. You just troll around. I mean, kind of the running joke about being a good fisherman at anything is, right? Just be a bad husband, a bad employee, and a terrible father. And you
Yeah. Hey, any openings? You pretty much booked up, or you got some room for folks to get a hold of you?
Yeah, no, I haven't. Springer fishing is harder. It's kind of not for the faint of heart.
Right.
It's kind of about the prize more than the quantity.
Mm-hmm.
So, not as many people want to do that. So I always have open, especially, 1s, 2s. But yeah, it's lots of openings through May.
Okay.
It's just a matter of reaching out. I mean, I probably had 7 or 8 people in the last 2 or 3 days because they heard fishing picked up Monday, which it really, really did.
Yeah.
And it's been better this week than it's been all year. And, guys know it. So my phone's been ringing a little bit more. Guys are getting out. But yeah, it's a killer thing. I'm pretty easy to get a hold of via Facebook or email or whatever.
Sure.
But yeah, man, it's a great fishery. It's simple. And the one thing that I like about it is, you don't need a $150,000 boat out there. In fact, it might actually hurt you being in a 27-foot boat because the best fishermen of the channel are in 16-foot little flat bottoms and stuff. I promise.
Hey, now there's only one way to find out.
Get out there and do it.
Let's take the loop down there.
Let's go do it. Right. All right. Hey, Josiah, fantastic, man. Solid info as always. Always look forward to getting you on the show because you come with the details people really want to get out of you, and I appreciate you stepping up to the plate. So plenty of season left. I'm sure you're going to be whacking and stacking another handful of big, fatty, gorgeous springers, and I'm waiting for you to put up that 25-pounder plus that you always seem to somehow find your way to get your hooks into. So good luck out there, and please stay in touch.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks for having me, guys. And like I said, you guys get ambitious and you want to come check it out, you let me know. It's a pretty leisurely little troll. We can take the big boat or take mine.
Oh, I like it.
I like it. May need to make a trip down there, Tommy.
Sounds good.
All right, buddy. We'll be in touch. Have a great evening.
Yeah, have a good night.
All right, see you guys.
All right, we'll see you. Yep.
I could see your brain turning when he was saying, he's got those big bow rods out, right? Because he feels like he's running over the fish and they're getting out of the way from the boat. And I can see your mind just switched over to kokanee planers.
My side planers?
You got these side planers, and you're thinking,
yeah,
I could run side planers for
you
springers.
could. Unfortunately, there's way too many boats, but you can try. Might piss a few folks off, but time and a place, right? So,
well, I mean, you don't have to send them way out. I mean, right? No. I mean, you could send them, 10 feet, 15 feet out.
Oh, you could.
Maybe get away with it. You can bring it in if you need to. I mean, there's options,
Yeah, we got options.
And then
we'll
you
probably
can
exercise them all.
It's almost like a mini tuna fishery, right? 2 rods per person. If you had 3 guys running 6 rods, you got planers out like outriggers.
So the channel there with the 2-rod endorsement is much like our Area 13. It's like we're salmon fishing for actual Chinook, adult-grown salmon. We get to use 2 rods per angler, right? And to his credit, it's like, hey, if I got me and 2 clients, I'm fishing 6 rods.
Yeah, right. That's pretty exciting.
There's something about the attractability power in multiple flashers being in water. Lots of disturbance, lots of noise, lots of bait, lots of flashing. There's a reason, like Buoy 10, some of those successful guides, 1, they're so dialed in their programs, but 2, they're running 6, 7 rods every day.
Exactly.
Big chrome 360 flashers, a lot of herring, a lot of bait, a lot of disturbance, a lot of noise, lots of attractability. There's something to that.
Oh, there absolutely is. It's the same thing with tuna fishing. I'm telling you, when we're on a live bait stop and I've got 8 people on my boat, I can suck the tuna up underneath the boat, and I'm always going to have a bait in the water. I'm always going to have 3 tuna hooked, right? And the more tuna that I have hooked, the more bait I have, the more frenzied they get, the more they stay with the boat. So, there's something to be said about that for sure.
Yeah, Clayton says need outriggers on the boat.
Yeah, amen.
Outriggers out there.
I'm good with that. Yeah,
that worked too, huh?
JJ says, Tommy will be trolling 9 rods per side. I'm all game.
We got to do what we got to do. Yeah, it's all legal, so... All right, hey, good stuff with Josiah. If you haven't looked him up, please do so on his Facebook page. It's always packed full of information and great photos of the fish he is out getting each and every week. So give him a call. you'll have nothing but a fantastic time. He's not only just a heck of a fisherman, but he's a funny dude to hang out with and have a really good time. So, all right, going to jump out for a couple minute break. We come back. Hey, we're jumping in the bait lab. The Trout Opener is the 23rd of April, about a week and 2 days from now. Going to do a two-part series tonight. We're going to get you all schooled up on a number of baits, new baits out there by Potskis. We got a lot of really good stuff to take a look at. I'm going to show you a couple different rigging options, and this is all about the kids. And so, trust me, being a dad, well, for a number of years, but when the boys were small, simple rigging, simple presentation, bait gets it done for kids and trout. You don't have to be out there all day, especially if it's cold, Tommy.
Yeah.
Get it done in an hour or two, enjoy the time, get them on the bait. It's going to work fantastic. Bait Lab, right here when we come back from this break. Fish on Northwest.
If you're looking for the best fishing rods in the world, you really do need to take a look at the edge rods. I designed and built new machinery, and I think this new machinery has enabled us to build blanks like no other company can build without this equipment. There is no other rods in the world that are as good as these rods. You owe it to yourself to take a good look at them.
A Northwest favorite for almost 40 years, Arima boats are manufactured with pride right here in Bremerton, Washington. Arima Boats offers all of our boats with Honda outboard packages so that you can take full advantage of the reliability and 5-year top-to-prop warranty from your Honda outboard. With literally thousands of Arima boats on the water throughout the Pacific Northwest, Arima boats are a proven hull design that offers incredible fuel economy and all of the amenities that a serious angler is looking for. All Arima boats are built without any structural wood materials. That is why we back our boats with a lifetime warranty. All of our Arima boats are designed to maximize deck space while also providing ample seating. Contact us today at Arima Boats for all your boating needs and let us help you get out on the water.
Hey, welcome back, Fish on Northwest. We're here in the Bait Lab. Bait Lab always presented by Sport Co. and, of course, Max Lure. Tonight's all about the trout, folks, and getting these kids ready for the opener a little more than a week from now on the 23rd. And tonight we're going to break it down and talk all about the bait. Next week we're going to get into more troll fisheries and lures, hardware, plugs, those types of things. But tonight it's all about the bait. And with Potskis, boy, we have a line of bait and options now. Some natural baits, some artificials, some synthetics. Really some great options here between Potskis Bait Company and, of course, Atlas Mikes. We're going to talk about a variety of different eggs. Here on the table, I have some of the new Fire eggs, which is a rubber synthetic egg. It comes in a packet just like this. They come in a chain. Very easy to break these off and put singles or doubles onto your hook. The cool thing about these is they are definitely buoyant, okay? Also have the fire worms, also come in a packet. These little guys here, multiple colors, all types of colors, really good UV. Little fire worms, I'm going to show you some things we can do with there. We have natural balls of fire eggs in so many colors and combinations. These are green garlic. We got shrimp. We got the classic balls of fire in red. We have the Mike's UV. This is an infused actual natural salmon egg that increases in size and volume in the cooking process. This is a natural egg. And it's a little tougher than your standard egg, but it increases in size in the way they cook it and put this through the process. That puts it at about a 8 to 10 millimeter size in some cases. So for one single egg on your hook, that thing does pretty well. Of course, we got the Mike's marshmallows, and we got these new synthetics. One thing I realized is I can take these new rubber or fake eggs here with these worms, and just simply putting that on a single hook, that basically replicates almost a egg-sucking leech. Now, one thing to consider on these is that these types of baits here are buoyant. And I want to talk a little bit about the difference between knowing what you're actually fishing in regards to buoyant baits, neutral buoyant, or baits that sink. So typically, most of our natural eggs, any of the balls of fire, the classic balls of fire, and the new synthetic, these rubber synthetic eggs here, the fire balls, and the natural eggs, those definitely sink. The Mike's UV, these enlarged natural eggs, they also sink. Okay, if you ever have any question on whether you are going to fish floating bait or sinking bait and want to understand which way they're going to go so you can rig properly, just simply throw them take a couple out, throw them in a little glass of water. Simple as that. They sink, you know you got a sinking bait, and you're going to rig appropriately. Fire bait, on the other hand, it's a dough bait, it's a floating bait, okay? All too often I see folks taking fire bait, putting it on a hook underneath a float. They have a buoyant presentation and they have a buoyant bait, and they can't figure out whether or not catching any fish. If the bait is enough to actually bring the hook all the way to surface, you're gonna have your bobber sitting here, a 3-foot leader with buoyant bait floating on the surface. So, and it does happen, okay? So you need to understand what it is you're using and rig accordingly. So we got all these options and different ways of presenting. Now, for kids, whether you're on the bank or in a boat, you know, a bobber rig will get it done all day long, especially with these planter trout. They are typically staying or remaining close to surface because they haven't residualized in the body of water they've been planted into. They've been swimming around in a shallow concrete, box for how long? And so you take them out, put them in a big body of water. The water temperature is still typically pretty cold here in the spring. Those fish are going to stay up and elevated 10 to 15 feet as they cruise around the lake and try to become familiar with their new surroundings. So simple bobber rig, just a classic standard trout rod. I like 8 foot. A lot of trout rods are 7.5. Parents, if you're casting for your kids, take full advantage, especially if you're bank fishing. A longer rod is really nice to really get it out there away from the shoreline, get out in a little deeper water where the fish are hopefully going to be holding. 8-foot rod, 2 to 6 pound rating, gets it done all day long. Monofilament on here. I put a rubber bobber stop up there, a bead on top of my float. This is a 1/4 ounce float. Pretty simple. We're just downsizing, classic steelhead rig for float fishing. Inline float that slides so I can adjust my depth. Little egg sinker below it, give me some ability when casting. That's a 1/4 ounce egg sinker. Protection bead above the barrel swivel. And then I'm going to run a couple foot leader, and that's basically it. Cast it out there. Depending on how far up I set my bobber stop is how deep my presentation is going to go and be suspended under the float. Those fish will come up and grab it. Now we're going to use a single hook, size 8, 10, 12. You can go with a size 6. I typically do if I'm fishing lakes with holdover fish, larger planted triploids, or just I know I have bigger fish around in general, especially on the east side of the state, okay? Single hook, you can decide what you want to do. You can put on a single, we can put on a single max infused egg there. Again, this bait is going to sink. No, you don't need to hide the hook. They're rainbow trout, planter trout out of the hatchery. They're going to eat, okay? They're looking for anything. A lot of these have great scent to them, good color, vibrant color in UV. So a single egg on there will get it done all day. The other thing I can do is take the smaller eggs, some of these actual natural eggs in the smaller size. Nothing wrong with putting a couple on there, simply because when the trout hit that, if they knock one of them off, you still got another bait that you're fishing. Oftentimes, putting 2 of the small ones on there is going to get it done. Now remember, these are for baits that I know are going to sink, and that's going to be most of your eggs that are of the natural creation, right? We're not taking these rubber eggs or these new imitation eggs and putting them under a float because, well, they're going to float, and that's just going to lead to minimal to no success. All right. So let me pin this on here. Move that over. Let's talk about fishing floating baits, suspending off the bottom. Now, the classic rig for that is really quite simple. And there's some other things you need to take into consideration, how these baits are designed and how they're designed to be used, okay? So this here is a classic egg sinker, and I simply put a protection bead, more so for my guide, and then I have an inline egg sinker and another bead. I just like to protect my guide from the lead, and I like to protect my swivel and knot from the lead. So I put a stopper bead on there, barrel swivel, and about a 3-foot leader. Now, this is designed to throw out there, let the weight sink to bottom, and if I'm using the right kind of bait, a floating bait, a dough bait, or marshmallows, you can put marshmallows on a hook with a couple eggs, and the marshmallows are going to float your presentation off the bottom. That's a great old standby. It's worked for years, okay? The other thing is with these new improved floating baits, these dough baits with the Potskis, it's pretty simple. Now, you take a little piece out of here, and you don't just put a big glob on your hook, right? We're going to roll that into a small ball. Now, the other thing is you want to look for the hooks that have a spring wrapped around the shank of the hook there. The reason for that is it holds your bait on a whole lot better than just a simple treble hook. Now, simple treble hook will get it done all day long, but these little coiled springs on these hooks do a great job in holding your bait. Now, I'm going to take that small size 10 hook, I'm going to just push it into that ball, form it around here, and that's it. I'm going to throw that out on the bottom. I definitely have enough bait on there to float that small hook up, and that's really what you want to do, okay? You can't have such a small amount of bait on there that's not going to elevate that hook off the bottom. How do you figure out how deep the fish are? Well, if I have 2 or 3 rods, I'm going to rig this with that sliding sinker so that it allows the bait to float up and pull some line through that sinker that's on the bottom. Typically, though, if I have a leader that's 3 foot, 4 foot, 5 foot, I'm going to throw them out there. I'm going to see which one's getting bit. If they're getting bit at 5 foot, I'm going to change my leaders to all 5 foot. I know the fish are basically suspended, typically above the weed line, 5 feet off the bottom, bait's floating up there. And you know what? They'll chew on this for a bit. If you're finding you're missing fish, put a smaller amount of bait on there. Expose a barb if you have to. Excuse me. Push that out till you get that barb exposed. And then you're able to get those fish to take this in and get the hook set. Excuse me. So that's a classic rig off the bottom. Works very well. There's another option that I've gone to that that seems to work pretty well. Okay, it is a sliding rig, and it's a single hook. All right, so I'm not using the treble hook to keep the bait on. I'm going to use a single hook, and I'll show you why. The other thing is, I actually rigged this with a dual swivel. It's a barrel swivel with your lock on there, in between 2 beads like I did the weight. And the reason I do that is because this swivel on here allows me to change out the weight. I can clip on a small 1/4 ounce cannonball onto there, okay? I can clip that cannonball on there. If I don't need that much weight, I can go down to, say, a little teardrop 8 ounce on here, okay? If I really want to get it out away from shore, and the weight on the bottom is not an issue. If I'm not in an area that's real snaggy, I'll put a 1/2 ounce on here and give that thing a toss and get it way out there away from the shoreline. I'm going to run that 4, 5, 6 foot leader sometimes. Here's the unique thing about a single hook. And something you can do, moms and dads, if you're like going through a lot of bait or your kids are constantly casting it off and it continues just to fly off the hook or whatever the issue is, you can take some of the Potski fire bait here and simply roll it into a ball and then put it into some of our Mike's net mesh for making small spawn sacks, okay? So here I did this with the green. I had some I had the green or the chartreuse spawn bag, and I've made those floating baits in the spawn bags and tied them off. Now the other unique thing about this is you can make these baits a lot smaller than you typically do when you put it on a treble hook. So it's real simple to do. I'm going to basically take a little bit of bait out of here, okay? I'm gonna roll it in a ball, just like that. Now I could put that on a treble hook, but using a single hook, that's not gonna stay on real well. You don't wanna typically use dough bait on a single hook, okay? It's designed to go on treble hooks, but I can use a single hook by putting it in the spawn bag. And these pre-cut ones are real nice because all I gotta do is lay it in there, twist it a few times, okay? Twist it into a ball right there, grab my magic thread and start wrapping, okay? So now I'm making a little bait ball here and just a handful of wraps on that. And there's no knots or nothing. You just break it off, okay? Trim off the excess. Now, I basically have this little bait ball. Now, if I am fishing a single hook, the way this works so well and why it stays on is because I just simply put the hook right through the mesh of that little spawn bag, and that bait right there will fish cast after cast after cast. I mean, the fish can hit it, and they're going to get hooked on that exposed hook. I can literally bring it in, unhook the fish, cast it back out there. This will stay in place as long as that mesh bag just kind of holds intact. And you're going to get a lot of mileage out of a simple jar of bait simply by putting it in a little mesh bag. And you don't have to worry about trying to get treble hooks out of these fish. You can lip hook a lot of them, so if you get those smaller fish, you can let them go. Typically, if you're using treble hooks and they're buried in that bait, these fish are going to swallow it. Any of these trout that swallow that bait, you're definitely taking that fish home. Never release a fish or a trout that's bleeding. They're not going to do well. But if you lip hook a few of these and they're on the little small side, you can simply let them go. That mesh bag on that dough bait, that fire bait works fantastic, and it's well worth a try. Again, I like to use the adjustability of a sliding swivel on here so I can change out my weight if I need to. I'll go with a 3, 4, 5 foot leader, and I like to put them in these spawn bags to simply get longevity out of my jar of bait and you know, single hook option for catch and release if I so desire. Although in most regulations, if you are using bait, you catch a fish, you are required to keep that fish. So make sure you check your regulations. So that's just some great options with the bait. Getting ready for this opening day of trout season, you do have a lot of options out there. Potsky's bait has been around since 1934 with the balls of fire, and they have just gone crazy with the amount of options you have. All of these will work pretty much on any given time. I suggest you give them a go and find some success. All right, that's going to do it for us here in the Bait Lab. We're going to jump out for a couple-minute break. We come back, we'll be in studio with our next guest, talking some salmon season setting with Mark Baltzell, WDFW. We come back right here, Fish on Northwest.
Allied boats are built by West Coast fishermen for West Coast fishermen. Deep V 21-degree dead rise at the transom guarantees a smooth ride no matter the conditions. Allied offers all of our boats with Honda outboard packages so that you can take full advantage of the reliability and 5-year top-to-prop warranty from your Honda outboard. Allied boats range from 19 to 32 foot in length, so no matter what type of heavy gauge boat you are looking for, we have it for you. All of our Corsair 21 foot and larger designs come standard with reverse chine that is welded inside and out with no extrusions below the waterline, so that you will never have to worry about corrosion problems down the road. Get out on the water today in a boat that you can trust and enjoy with Allied Boats. Contact us at Allied Boats today to learn much more about our incredible fishing machine.
New days, new beginnings, new friends, new loves, new dreams, new goals, new scenery, new job. No matter what the next chapter holds, Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate will be there to help you find the new that's right for your lifestyle at any stage of your life. Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate. Expect better.
Hi, we're Joe and Megan Malico, owners of Archery World up here in Lacey.
We're a full pro shop, so we have a full pro service also. We have a huge indoor range. We carry 11 bow lines, all the major bow lines, and then there's subsidiary companies too. Like if we carry Bowtech, we carry Diamond. If we carry Matthews, we carry Mission.
When you come in, we're going to ask you, what kind of price point you're looking for. What's your hope, what's your goals, what's your flow. And with that information in mind, we'll point you in the direction of, that price point bows, and then maybe give you the option to test fire, maybe a higher level bow, just so you can compare. But it really is all about getting what it is that's going to work for you.
We don't upsell anyone. They shoot it, they like it, they don't like it, they don't get it. We don't operate like that. So if you need it and it puts you in the outdoors, we probably have it. So come down and see us.
Hey, welcome back, Fish on Northwest. Back in the studio, and our next guest is ready and waiting.
That's right.
First time on the show, Mark Baltzell with WDFW. Mark, you're the statewide salmon and steelhead manager. Quite a title, and you've been quite busy as of late. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Dwayne. But, long ago in a different position, I think I was on your show when you were on KJR.
Were you really?
Oh, wow.
We talked that long ago, huh? Oh.
Well, yeah, I've been hanging out with, I think it was when I was a mark selected fishery biologist for the department.
That could be, yeah. Now you're kind of reminded me. That seems so long ago, and we would have those conversations from time to time, and I could get Shangle convinced into the fact we needed to talk about this stuff. So. Anyway, well, hey, welcome to Fish on Northwest for the first time. You know what? You just kind of dipped your toe in that a little bit. Give folks a little bit of insight to your history here with WDFW and what your main responsibilities are, if you would.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of one of those stories where I started as a technician, in the sampling and monitoring group, and kind of worked my way up. Was mark selected fishery biologist, and then I was kind of managing the Puget Sound fisheries for a while, and then I stepped into this role almost a couple years ago. Right in the middle of COVID. So I've been in this role as the statewide salmon and steelhead manager for the past couple years. So I've been with the department about 20 years, and almost all of that 20 has been in and around salmon management, and particularly in Puget Sound.
Nice.
Oh, that's great. So, a lot of people know that we've gotten through north of Falcon for the most part. And we've started to see the results come online, right, on Facebook, right? And so can you talk a little bit about where are we in the process, and really what do we have left to go to make those seasons official?
So, yeah, north of Falcon is, this process that we go through with other states and the tribes to kind of figure all this, splitting the salmon pie for the year for Chinook and Coho particularly. And, really, we're at this point where we've gone through the Pacific Fishery Management Council process. They've gavelled down on kind of a preferred ocean package, and we are getting ready to submit our package as co-managers to the feds for ESA authorization. So that'll happen here in the next week, and then north of Falcon is kind of the precursor to our state rulemaking process under the APA. So we'll be spending next week kind of crafting all these proposed seasons into a rule package. Folks will have a chance to provide comment, and we'll take suggestions on changes through that rulemaking process through the month of May and into June. And then hopefully by mid to late June, the director signs off on the rule package for the summer.
Gotcha. Kind of an overview and looking back over the last several weeks here with NOF and how it went this year. You think the salmon managers are feeling pretty good about the process? Was it pretty cohesive with the co-managers? Was it, did you have times of pulling your hair out? I know it can be a bit of a struggle at times to get everybody on the same page. How would you summarize this year in working with the co-managers? And did it ever come to a point where you guys thought you may have to just walk away and go seek your own permit?
No, I don't think so at all, Dwayne. It was actually, I think this was my 11th or 12th North Falcon. Mm-hmm. It was probably one of the smoother ones. Every year there's disagreements and conversations that happen amongst the co-managers. Really what laid the groundwork for this is we spent the last year, well, actually, if you want to say last 5 years, working on a comprehensive Chinook plan for Puget Sound.
Right.
And really, we submitted that in February. And I think what was different this year is we all knew and agreed what our targets were for management. So there wasn't a whole lot of, things to talk about in terms of where we were trying to get to meet our management objectives for Chinook. So I think that maybe made it a little easier. We put a lot of hard work into that management plan, and we got it submitted. And so, like I said, there wasn't a whole lot to argue about once we were into the process.
Gotcha.
That's good to hear, Mark, because I know that you said 11 years in North of Falcon. I mean, I don't know if you've had a stress test done after 11 years of North of Falcon, but
boy, I would.
I mean, I know it can be downright brutal with those negotiations, but maybe tell us a little bit about the result. Like what did we get? What is it looking like for a season in the Puget Sound? And then as you go north, the San Juans, the Strait, and then, kind of wrap up with the ocean, what are we going to see?
Yeah. So, I think maybe for all the areas around Washington, Columbia River and the ocean and Puget Sound, I would say, those Chinook constraints are really what shaped the fisheries package this year. So for a better part of the Puget Sound marine areas, those fisheries are looking pretty similar to last year. There are a few exceptions, obviously. I guess maybe just we'll start in the south and move our way north. 11, we got an extra half a month in 11 around Tacoma for Chinook, so that'll start June 1st. We kind of had last year's season in Area 10. That'll kick off June 16th. Area 9 and Area 7, I'll kind of talk about those concurrently. Those areas, along with Area 5, are kind of the big heavy hitters on Stillaguamish impacts. Mm-hmm. So with the new management plan, we really had to be creative this year, trying to think about how we were going to craft seasons to be able to both go after Chinook, but make sure we had enough Chinook impacts on the table to be able to go after coho later on when we got to release them. So, we had an initial proposal from the agency that, maybe didn't center so much on those July opportunities. We were just really thinking about preserving coho opportunities. But, we got some feedback from the tribes and we got some feedback from the public, and, we were able to get creative and carve out some seasons there. So what's going on there in 7 and 9 is we're going to open those seasons on July 14th, and they're going to have 3-day openers. And then we're going to close them down for 4 days and reassess and figure out, kind of just take the foot off the gas a little bit on those fisheries and just make sure that we're watching them closely and managing them in season as close as we can. So we're not running into a situation like we did last year in the San Juans. That was really unfortunate. It's not an outcome that anybody from anglers to us as a department wanted to see happen. But again, we're trying to be creative and think about how we can preserve those seasons. Moving out to the San Juans again, and Straits, PQ and Port Angeles look pretty much the same. That July 1st opener. We did shave a couple days off the back end for coho, some coho concerns. So those fisheries will close on the 28th of September rather than the 30th. Let's see. Moving out to the coast. Gotta scroll down on my notes here for a second. Bear with me. So let's see. We're starting in 3 and 4. Those seasons open June 18th, 7 days a week. And then it looks like Westport's going to open on the 2nd of July. Ilwaca's going to open on the 25th of June. Really, those coastal fisheries this year, as well as the Columbia River fisheries, were really shaped by those Thule impacts, those lower Columbia River naturals. That was I'll call it a hiccup and a headache all the way through the process this year. We knew coming out of the first Pacific Fishery Management Council meeting that those were going to be constraining on the fisheries. There's some impacts south of Falcon too, with those Oregon and California coastal fisheries. There's some concerns with that Klamath stock in Northern California, Southern Oregon that play into this as well. So really, we were dealing with that even with the first 2 or 3 days of the second PFMC meeting here. It really caused a delay for us trying to get down to a final fishing package, but eventually we got there. And then, I can just touch briefly on Columbia River. I mean, again, those tulies are what's shaping the Columbia River opportunities this year. That buoy 10 fishery is going to start on August 1st, mark selective for Chinook, and run through the 24th when we're going to try to squeeze a small wild season out of there.
Yeah, I mean,
think that's right.
There's a whole lot to this package. I mean, from north to south and in everything in between. And did that mid-hood canal strain of fish that play a role in some of this decision making? Are we kind of phasing that out moving forward? I know you had mentioned this season was crafted off of the agreed to plan, 10-year plan that you guys have submitted to NOAA, and if that gets the nod going forward, it's basically the model you're going to use for the next 10 years. So where do we fall on that mid-hood canal component? I mean, I know the Stillaguamish still going to play a factor in how this Area 7, Area 9 is dissected up each year. But that other constraining factor has been that hood canal component. Where are we at it with that whole thing?
Well, Dwayne, we've been the co-managers have been working on that one for a while. We've had a lot of conversations over the last number of years about mid-hood canal, and really trying to center in on what the future of that stock or that management looks like. So we commissioned a habitat study with the co-managers, and essentially what this habitat study said was there's really just not enough habitat in those mid-hood canal streams to support a sustainable population.
Right.
So we made a proposal as part of the 10-year plan. We made a proposal to NOAA to give us some space to work with them to reevaluate that. Essentially, we committed that we do this thing where we're going to craft our fisheries, and then we basically with the modeling, we look at if we took all the fisheries that were in place, that we put in place, and took them out, how many spawners would our fisheries affect on mid-hood canal? And we agreed that, we wouldn't increase our fisheries past a certain number of spawners over the time until we figured out what we were going to do with NOAA. So this year, luckily, with all our fisheries packages, we were impacting less than one spawner as far as the modeling goes. So we think that's going to be acceptable. We haven't heard any different from NOAA. I'm not sure if others within my team have had specific conversations about that, but we're pretty confident that we'll have the ability to, as co-managers, to work with NOAA and move that ball forward.
Gotcha.
One of the other things that I noticed that seemed a little different to me is that, you got Area 3 and 4, they're opening June 18th, and then you got Area 2, and we're seeing quite a bit of a later opener this year for July 2nd. What was the driver in that date as the starting date?
So, unfortunately, I wasn't involved in a whole lot of those conversations, but my guess is it's really just about how those areas affect tulies and how we could maximize those opportunities based on the available tule impacts is my guess on how those got shaped.
Gotcha.
That tule component keeps rearing its tule head in every conversation. That puts that constraining factor on. Have to allow a certain percentage of fish to get through, even in the ocean areas, before we can get in there and whack and stag. Good news is, once we get to that July 2nd opener, Tommy, like you keep raving about, which is spot on, man, 7 days a week.
7 days a week.
And full-on opportunity out there with great return. So Great information, Mark, kind of breaking it down for us. Before we get out of here, WDFW's kind of put an announcement out about some test fishers needed. There's like 6 or 7 positions they're trying to fill throughout different parts of the Puget Sound region here. Kind of explain what this is a paid position. It's a full-time temporary position to go out and, for what I gather, catch fish, creel sample fish, or what is it? Break it down for us. Let us know what this opportunity is for people.
Well, we actually have a number of positions, both kind of our dockside sampler positions, but the specific test fishing positions you're talking about, they're part of our monitoring programs within Puget Sound. We were really fortunate this year that the legislature was kind to our agency. They really did right and added a bunch of money for work over the next number of years.
Right.
That includes some additional test fishing positions. So we've got people that we're employing to basically go out and mimic the fleet and fish like the fleet does and collect that data. And yeah, we use that in our sampling and monitoring programs and how we estimate these fisheries in season.
Gotcha. Yeah, sounds like a pretty good opportunity for a retired guy. Tony.
Yeah, it does. I mean,
go out and get paid by WDFW.
You're going to be one of them here in a couple of weeks. Maybe you have a new opportunity.
It's like $4 grand a month to go catch fish for WDFW and continually to report that we have no sublegal encounters.
Right. Mortality rate is 0.01%.
Take their graph and put it off the chart. So anyway, all right, good stuff, Mark. Where can people go to find that information? WDFW website under any particular tab?
Yeah, it's the wdfw.wa.gov, and they'll have job openings there on the website. And yeah, you just it's all electronic. You can do it online, and it's funny though. We've had some retired guys work for us in the past, and usually by month 2 or month 3 of fishing 40 hours a week, they're like, "Oh man, I don't want to get up at 5 in the morning."
Yeah, well, that's because they waited too long to retire. So
that's right.
You got to retire young. Anyway, hey, pleasure having you on, Mark. Great to reconnect, even though it's been from the KJR days. So nice to get you on the show, and don't be a stranger. Love to have you back.
Take care, Dwayne.
All right, have a good night.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye. Yeah, that's a busy guy during this whole NOF. Any meeting I turned on, right? Any stream Zoom meeting, I mean, Mark's right there. He's putting up all the data, putting up all the numbers, kind of helping people understand, break it down, and answering the onslaught of questions that you just get browbeated, man. Just boom, 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 one after another. So I don't know how these guys keep their composure sometimes in these meetings. I got to tell you.
Yeah, you got to have some serious emotional resilience for this.
Yep, you do. Basically, you just don't care what people say. So,
pretty much.
Yep, thick skin. All right, hey, don't go anywhere. Got some great items here to close out the show with. A little bit of information that has come as of late. Some of the decisions come out of the commission meeting here this last week, which are very conducive to recreational opportunity, and a few other bits of info. Jump out for a couple minutes. We'll be back right here in studio, Fish on Northwest.
Defiance boats are built without any structural wood materials. That is why we back our boats with a lifetime warranty. All of our Defiance boats come standard with large fish boxes that are fully insulated so that you can ice your fish properly all day. Defiance boats feature a 21 to 22 degree dead rise at the transom and a large reverse chine for incredible handling and stability offshore. Defiance boats are foam flotation filled and unsinkable for the ultimate in safety while fishing offshore. Defiance boats feature fuel-efficient hull designs with large fuel tank capacity so that you can have maximum fuel range for making long offshore runs completely safe and affordable. All Defiance boats come standard with self-bailing decks for improved safety while at sea. Defiance Boat offers all our boats with Honda outboard packages so that you can take full advantage of the reliability and 5-year top-to-prop warranty from your Honda outboard. Defiance Boats for all your boating needs, and let us help you get out on the water.
Today, the need for quality private security services is at an all-time high. Contract Security Service provides day-to-day peace of mind as they protect people, and property. Here at Phoenix, we provide service for multiple state and federal contracts with services ranging from uniform, patrol, alarm monitoring, canine detection, executive protection, as well as investigative work. Phoenix client management models are built on understanding our clients' security needs and responding with a tailored program that is best fit for them. Phoenix provides excellent customer service through well-trained, highly motivated security professionals. Recruiting highly qualified officers is the first step in building a strong team. Currently, we are comprised of 70% prior law enforcement and military veterans. If you are prior military or law enforcement, go to www.phoenixprotectivecorps.com and apply today.
Yep, for sure. Oh yeah, big fish. Yeah, buddy. Nice fish. Oh, beauty. Gorgeous fish.
Bobby's on the board.
We got a good one.
Oh yeah. Oh, oh, geez, come on.
Nice fish. Nice fish.
All right, welcome back in studio here, Tommy, as we wind down the show, huh?
Yep, coming to the close.
Coming to the close.
But
before we get there, a couple things to go back and kind of recap. Last week, as we were winding down, we talked about this Grays Harbor region, the abundance of coho coming back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they could be pretty lucrative in our opportunity, exceeding the 5% impact on that wild run because there's so many fish. But it was going to be an act of the commission to agree to do that. And going into it with what we've been subjected to, i.e. bear hunt and the discussions of Blues Mountains and other things, now here's one of their first opportunities to really weigh in on a decision making as it relates to recreational opportunity and pretty lucrative limits, and or do we stick to the model of impact and the management of fisheries for conservation and just let all them fish go on by? Well, the commission did, in fact, take that all in. It was a 9-0 vote in favor of allowing WDFW Region 6 persons in charge, working with biologists and fishery managers, to exceed that 5%. It may get upwards in around some of the numbers I saw in that 18%, which gives us, again, I had mentioned it previously, we're looking at a 2-fish coho, non-marked opportunity for October, a 1-fish non-marked in November, and then potentially, hopefully, a 1-fish marked select fishery for coho in December. In other words, we get 3 months of great opportunity on a wide open, robust coho return. And they're doing this because, as far as management principles, it makes absolute sense. Even when you tighten those numbers, we're still, so escapement's 35,000. We're exceeding that by 38,000 fish. We're doubling the escapement needed by even having an impact upwards of 17, 18%.
Right.
I think it's the right decision. And the fact that the commission found that in favor is like, well, they seem to be, again, they presented them with science, and this time they took the bait.
I don't know. A broken clock is right twice a day.
I don't
blind
know.
squirrel finds a nut every once in a while. I don't know.
Any one of those. They all apply. All are applicable, as we say. However, that being said, you know, put that in the cap of success. They gave us one there. Hopefully we have more in the future, you know.
I sure hope so.
I was just happy to see that. And so now, next week, the 19th, Tuesday evening, the 19th, 6 p.m., WDFW and Grays Harbor region will have their final public forum meeting for setting season on that. Mike Stumpf and those folks are going to walk through the process and really, truly put it out there where they've landed, because those fisheries have been submitted to the co-managers have bought off on whatever it is they've agreed to, or else we wouldn't have a loaf right now. We wouldn't have a list of agreed to fisheries. So moving forward, they're going to put it out there to the public. You'll still have time to comment or weigh in. Typically, not a lot of changes come after that. We're kind of towards the end of the time here where everything gets finalized and then finally signed off by the director. But I'm pretty happy with the direction this is going. Not just in the Grays Harbor region, but coastal opportunity, ocean opportunity, Puget Sound opportunity.
Yep, that's a win.
Going to be a great fall. Going to be a great fall.
Hey, did you hear there's more data coming out about the non-tribal Gilnet buyback program?
Oh, the 14.4 million?
14.4 million.
So you and I had a discussion on that. We were kind of like, well, you know, is it really going to do anything? If you remove a net, it just leaves the amount of fish for less people.
Right, you get the same quota, but there's less people. And there was a lot of questions, right? It didn't. There was a lot of things that really didn't line up, because it was like,
same old.
Is the same old, is this kind of just hey, look, I'm doing something good, right?
Right. Well, actually, yeah, I did read a little bit into that over at Wild Steelhead United. A friend of mine, Jonathan Stumpf, he actually wrote a decent article kind of breaking it down, walked through a process, put in all the parameters. It was a question answer type little piece that he did. Very informative and really laid it out there as to, and I was like reading this going, well, I had no idea. And so it's pretty detailed. Now keep in mind the kind of the genesis of this whole thing, and this when we're talking about Columbia River, gillnets back in the main stem Columbia, targeting late summer, early fall run Chinook opportunity when there's a lot of Chinook opportunity. They want to go after them. Gillnet fisheries, okay, I get it. The problem is the last 3 years especially, we failed to even come close to the 10-year average on our summer steelhead.
Right.
Last year, matter of fact, 2021, we were 40% of the 10-year average.
Yeah, it was the worst.
Okay?
It was the worst.
And it declined just tremendously the last 3 years, right? In succession, just down. So, and we'd asked the question, I'd been on the phone with Ryan Lathrop and those that monitor these fisheries, like, how do we condone gillnet harvesting in up against a fishery that is so fragile and so almost non-existent that we've closed all recreational opportunity in the upper tributaries of the Columbia, but yet we're still going to conduct these nighttime gillnet fisheries. So this is what we're talking about. We're talking about putting things in place to hopefully remove a percentage of pressure or impact and allowing more wild steelhead to find their way up the Columbia.
Yeah.
Right?
The thing that I thought was a little surprising was also the price tag associated with this. So the gillnetters that are getting, that do take part of this buyback, for an active license, you get $96K. You get almost $100,000. It's
a pretty good buyout.
To get bought out.
I wonder what active participation is like. They had to fish at least one time last year or years previous.
Yeah, I wonder how they define that. I'm not sure.
$96,000 for an active license.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. The thing that I was still disappointed in, though, that I didn't see in this was that the monitoring piece is still missing, right? Where's the data? Where's the impact? Like, there's this Gilnet buyback program, but yet we're still missing the data. And don't forget, this is just the non-tribal portion, right?
Correct.
So we still have the tribal portion as well, which is a huge contingency.
And they're further upriver.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's like, where are we looking at that data?
Yeah, the monitoring thing, obviously would have been good for all the right reasons because they have no idea on released mortalities on these fish, whether they've been put through a revival box or whatever the process is to, take those fish out of the net and let them go and hopefully they survive, which has a very low survivability. I don't think the numbers have ever been calculated to be truthful, if any at all. I believe it's, for the most part, been done on paper historically. And to get persons on boats, I mean, we've been through this. It's been a bit of a conflict. But, I guess with this program, if it continues to move forward and the non-tribal gillnets, some of them decide to step away and cash out while they still can get decent money for their license that they're not using or very minimal, then you have less reason to have monitors because you have less impact to the fish.
True.
Right?
The thing that still concerns me, though, is that every year there's a lot of pressure put on making sure that the hatchery fish never reach it to the spawning beds, right? And inevitably we're seeing occurrences of that happening. So if you remove those gillnetters from the lower Columbia, what does that mean for ensuring that you're taking those hatchery fish out of the system, right? Because they're part of that ecosystem. So you remove those, what did we say? There was 240 non-tribal commercial gillnetters. You remove them out of the water.
Or even 50%.
Yeah, and where here's what concerns me, and I think this could be a push from, and let's face it, Inslee's pushing this, okay? And here's where it concerns me, especially with the commission that we have. You take the gillnetters out, then they say, hey, you're impacting ESA listed Chinook
with too many hatchery fish.
With too many hatchery fish. You gotta dump hatchery production.
Well, what I say
you gotta shut it down.
I say, well, you remove that cog in the wheel, you remove that ability to harvest. So now we need to open up our bag limits on the recreational side.
Right.
I mean, and you know
what? Do you
what?
think that's going to happen?
I don't know. But, get rid of barbless hooks and allow us to catch fish and retain these hatchery fish and keep them off the gravel. But, there was a buyout percentage too, even for the the non-active licenses. They want to buy those.
25 grand.
So you get 25 grand for your non-active license. If you have not participated in the fishery for a number of years, hey, you're just sitting on that license, holding on to it, trying to pass it down generation or something. If a grandkid doesn't want to pick up the net and go fishing. Yeah. Okay, Grandpa, time to cash in, get 25 grand.
You know, I really wonder, like, how does that compare with their ability to sell that license? You know, if they sold that license on the open market to another Gilnetter, what would they make? Yeah, I don't know. And to put that into perspective, you know, 25 grand is not a lot of money when you think about a license.
Right.
You know, our 6-pole permits to fish the ocean for a charter, it's those 6-pole permits are going for $45,000, $50,000.
Yeah.
So I always wonder, like, 25 grand, you know, it seems like a good number, but is that just kind of like a red herring? Pun intended.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and nobody would ever go for it.
So 240 licenses, that 14 million is enough money is allocated to buy every one of them out. They know which ones are active, which ones are not active, and they allocate X, Y, Z amount of dollars per, and that's where they got the 14.4 million. So you and I had talked previously where we were under the impression, so 240 licenses, let's say we buy out 50% of those, we have 120 licenses still active and they're fishing, the allotment or percentage quota towards the commercial fleet remains the same, less persons fishing, but higher percentage of take per commercial fisherman.
Right.
That's not the case.
Not the case this time.
It
was in the past.
Previously it was. Yeah. And that's why we were led to believe that. Now this new program, they've made it very interesting. They put this in there and said, man, this is where it's at. So as the number of participants comes down, so does the quota. They buy back 100. They buy back 120. Those are 50% of that fleet. That's 50% of the quota that goes out the door.
It is.
Now I didn't read anything in there that allocates that back towards the recreational side.
Right.
But you know, when in Washington currently, because we're not concurrent with Oregon. Oregon we're 70-30 split recreational commercial. Washington we are still 80-20, right?
Correct.
So. No, I take that back. I said that backwards. 80-20 in Washington, 80-20 in Oregon, 30-70 in Washington. Either way, you take 50% of those nets out. Does that drop that to 85-15?
Right, or do they
start chipping away at that?
Yeah, or where does it go? Right, you have to catch those fish. You have to catch those fish. You have to catch those fish. So does it go to the co-managers? I wouldn't hold my breath about it going to the recreationals. I'd love to believe that.
Yeah. I think there's a sunset on this. I mean, this money is in this current budget. There's a time frame that it's recognized. The monies are allocated for this, and these folks need to take advantage of that. But, you know, they're trying to curtail some of the impacts. They've recognized that gillnets, seek and destroy. Nothing really survives a gillnet, and we do have serious concerns on the summer steelhead in that Columbia River. That's no joke. I mean, 40% of the 10-year average. If you don't understand how concerning that is, you need to do some reading, get online, and really figure out what's going on, because it is in bad shape. And there's no indication that steelhead numbers rolling into this next season are going to be any better.
Yeah, no, there's not.
Because look at what just happened on our winter fishery. They closed down our coastal stuff early because there wasn't enough wild fish returning.
Right.
Now we're talking about these early fish that come back, summer fish in the lower Columbia, fall fish by the time they get up to that east side. All bets are in, but I'm thinking we're not looking for a very strong return once again.
Right.
Even though ocean conditions
it still bothers me that they don't have the data, though. It bothers me.
Correct.
It bothers me that they can go recreational guy, your impact is 11% mortality on a released fish with barbless hooks, right? And then you come to something like gillnets, which have been around for eons, and we have no clue what the quantified impact is on any of these 4 steelhead runs.
Yeah.
Zero.
No.
We don't know.
Hey, Jeff Wilson's saying 240 times 25,000 is 6 million. Yeah, the 240 recognized licenses is one thing. The percentage of those that are active, those active licenses get $96,000 for their buyback. The non-active licenses get $25,000. So there's a breaking point in there, whatever it is, the cutoff for those that are recognized as active versus non-active. So that's the difference of the other 8 million. So, all right, man. Hey, you know what? Happy Easter.
Happy Easter, brother.
As we roll into Good Friday tomorrow, and enjoy the Easter holiday on Sunday, and do what you do, go to church, whatever, enjoy family meal, Easter egg hunt, and if Harper's was here, she would ask me if I was excited about Easter, right? So that's a pretty good joke for a 5-year-old. Like
yes,
that
it
one.
Is.
Anyway, all right, everybody, appreciate you hanging on here tonight. We had a fantastic time, as we always do. Appreciate you tuning in and helping us share our content. You have ideas or things you want to see Tommy and I put out here, just get a hold of us. Message us on Facebook, YouTube. Hit us up on our email at www.fishhuntnw.com. Always willing to stay interactive with you folks, answer the questions, present the information that you are seeking, help you out as much as we can. Well, with that, we are going to get out of here. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the holiday. Happy Easter. See you next Thursday right here, Fish Hunt Northwest.